Welcome to the World Philosophy and Religion podcast with Dr. Marc Gafni. In today's episode, we are talking about one sentence, one single statement that has the power to go into the shameful, hidden parts of ourselves that don't feel worthy or welcome in the cosmos, and give those parts of ourselves a warm and gentle and tender embrace that can lead to greater wholeness within ourselves and within the world around us. So if you want to discover what this one statement is and how you can bring it to life in your daily experience, then enjoy this episode of the World Philosophy and Religion podcast with Dr. Marc Gafni.
It takes everything to break through to a new level of understanding something. You can't read it. In other words, I said to Zach this morning in a meeting, if the books that we're trying to write were written anywhere, I would stop this project. Meaning if the Great Library was available, and there's of course lots of good books about lots of good things, right? But there is the books that we need to change the source code of culture that are both at a high enough level, that are profound enough, that have made the breakthroughs, right, in the various vectors, value theory, right, metapsychology, right, et cetera, simply don't exist. Simply don't exist. There's actually evolution has stalled in its thinking in multiple ways, and fundamentalism has gone its way. Liberalism has gone, neoliberalism to a large extent, postmodern or New Age, right? All of which don't actually solve the very serious and real challenges, right, to a kind of world philosophy or a world spirituality or a world religion. So everyone's basically regurgitating the same old crap, right? And then, of course, monetizing it and selling it in multiple ways, whether it's a university system or a New Age system. And virtually no one, very few people are actually looking at the whole and saying, what do we need in this moment in time? But then, even those few that are, almost none of them, not none, but almost none, are willing to do the insanely hard work, right? The killer work of actually breaking through to a new insight, which requires fasting and prayer and commitment and grace. There's nothing you can do to guarantee it, right? And just being willing to literally die for it, right? You don't break through to a new set of insights without blood on the ground over decades. It doesn't happen. It's just not the way it happens, right? It's this gradual process of radical commitment, right, in which you're there and you stay and you're present and you stay in and you stay in and you don't get it and you work on it again and then you approach it and reapproach and you step out and you step back in until at some point, like, oh, sometimes she graces you and something becomes clear. Okay, does that make sense? Does everyone get that? That's what it takes. So I remember when I first suggested to Zach in 2016 and 17, I said, wow, we've got to stop. Terry, do you remember this? We've got to stop talking about consciousness. Kathy, you remember? Okay, I know you remember. Claire, Shati, right? We got to stop talking about consciousness. We've got to start talking about value. Value, right? And Jane, it's radical, right? It's got to be radical. We got to start talking about value. And Zach said, why value? Right? What's new about value? And I remember it was just like, oh, value. Right? And she just whispered it in my ear, value. And I started playing with it for 6 months in my mind. I didn't sleep for almost 6 months. Just trying to think about value. And then the term I of value, right, emerged. And then, a field of value, because I was reading field theory then quite extensively. Right? And then, then a story of value, first principles and first values, right? The relationship between, right, a field of value, right? First principles and first values, a grammar of value, a story of value, right? I'm not going into all that now. And if you're new, you can press delete on that. But we'll talk about that all at a different time. But those words now are laden with meaning. They have enormous depth, but it takes everything. So I want to talk to you about your need is my allurement, okay? I want to talk to you about this, your need is my allurement. Like, what does that mean? It's such an important phrase, okay? It's such an important phrase. Your need is my allurement. Eli, give us that rap. Can you give us that rap, Eli? We're going to give David, give us a code. Give us a code. I want to hear the code again. David's going to give us the code. Eli, give us the rap, and then we're going to dive in. Okay, let's open it up again. Let's open it up again. Let's find our way. Okay, David, code. Eli, rap. Then we go.
It's so good to be here, everyone. I am at a very interesting location, the Esalen in Northern California, where the birthplace of the human potential movement was. And I just started to wonder, what would it be like if people came here to participate in the evolution of love? What a different place it might be. Instead of, I mean, there's a lot of great things happening, and also there could be more. So that's just an interesting inquiry I'm holding here as we talk about the meta crisis. And here's this week's evolutionary love code. It's very short. If you ask, you must surely need. Your need is my allurement. If you ask, you must surely need. Your need is my allurement. Eli, take us into the rap.
All right, here we go. Need is my allurement.
I need to address need. I need my need to be responded to by my beloved, by my circle of beloved, right? And by reality itself, I need to feel all three of those vectors of Eros responding to me and saying, your need is my allurement. I need to actually hear that whisper. Now, there's a way to hear that whisper.
Needs are dignity and needs are rights. Needs are how we feel the force that creates life. Needs are dignity and needs are rights. Needs are how we feel the force that creates life. I need you, I need touch, I need air. We need love, it's no joke. We need care, we need hope, we need truth. This whole world, the truth is, we need you. Your value is not a 9 to 5. It's not the skills that you collect while you're alive. It's not your economic status on the rise. GDP will take away your life if it can profit off your mind. The true prophet realizes one thing, that true prophet lives inside of all things. Your value is not a coin or a symbol. Your values are your needs and the stories they sing. Yeah, needs are dignity and needs are rights. Needs are how we feel the force that creates life. Yeah, needs are dignity and needs are rights. Needs are how we feel the force that creates life. I need you, I need touch, I need air. We need love, it's no joke. We need care, we need hope, we need truth. This whole world, the truth is, we need you. For so long, I've been trying to survive without feeling all the needs in my life, without feeling the deep depths of desire, disconnected from my own heart's fire, passion reflected in the heroes on the screen, secretly hoping that one day that would be me, make an impact as who I'm born to be. Whoever thought trusting my needs would be the key. Needs are dignity and needs are rights. Needs are how we feel the force that creates life. Yeah, needs are dignity and needs are rights. Needs are how we feel the force that creates life. Yeah, I need you, I need touch, I need air. We need love, it's no joke. We need care, we need hope, we need truth. This whole world, the truth is, we need you.
And it's not simply through faith that denies evidence. It's actually through
Eli, turn that guy off. Let's go. All right, here we go. Yay,
Yeah,
Eli,
foreign.
thank you. Oh my God. And David's coming to us from Esalen, and Esalen is exactly the place that did not get this right. Michael and I argued about this, right, for many years. Michael Murphy, who kind of founded and created Esalen, came to many of our board meetings, right, in Mill Valley. And Michael's deal was no one captures the flag at Esalen, right? And you've heard me say that before. No one captures the flag, meaning there is no shared story of value. We're all doing our own individual stories. No one captures the flag. I want you to get that. Zohar, get that. No one captures the flag. No one captures the flag. That was a disaster. It was an utter disaster. And then Jeffrey, who's a beautiful guy, Jeffrey Kreipel, who's a beautiful guy, right, became the chair of Esalen. And Jeffrey's early work, right, deep within kind of religious studies in America was to deconstruct any idea of a shared narrative, right, to essentially attack, right, all shared narratives as being somehow closet totalitarian. Jeffrey since moved beyond that. Jeffrey is now beginning in the last, I'd say, X amount of time. I won't mark his academic career, but he's shifted markedly in an important way. But in the early days, that's not where Jeffrey was going, or Jorge Ferrer, or Esalen itself. Esalen stood against a shared story of value. The reason Esalen did that is not because they were bad people. They're great people. Okay, but stand. Get back, stand with me, okay? Stand. We're going to get back to the rap, but stand. Right? Why did Esalen do it? Because they were rebelling against what? Stand. What were they rebelling against? Anybody? What were they rebelling against? They were rebelling against, right? Against what? Against what? Help me. Against
all of the classical grand narratives. Grand narratives, right? Against the grand narratives, all the classical grand narratives, both the grand narratives of pre-modernity of religion and the grand narratives of modernity. Does everyone get what I mean by that? Who gets that? They were rebelling against grand narratives and they said, well, we're each going to tell our own story and those stories are going to kind of live in natural harmony. That was a lie. And the reason it was a lie was because there was an implicit grand narrative that they were all accepting. Without working it out, they ignored the philosophy. They didn't do the work. They ignored the real critiques. They just assumed value. No, it's not mean green meme. Got nothing to do with mean green meme. No. No. Stay close. They assumed, go slow, go open up, here's something new. They assumed that value was real, for example. They assumed that the good, the true, and the beautiful were always going to be animating visions of society. They assumed that there's some degree of freedom. We have some kind of free will. They assumed that love is real. They assumed that all those things would always be taken for granted. Those were what we've called in cosmoerotic humanism. What do we call them? The common sense sacred axioms of value, of modernity. They assumed those would always exist. And then postmodernity came and destroyed them. And they ignored postmodernity. Because Michael thought postmodernity is an academic thing. It's not going to catch on, right? It's not going to actually really change things in their essence. And Jeffrey went along with the postmodernity ride for quite a while until postmodernity came together, right? This deconstruction, postmodernity deconstructed, postmodernity called in the loan that modernity had taken from pre-modernity that assumed value was real and love was real. Postmodernity called in the loan, but still, Michael, Jeffrey, that gang, they didn't see the danger. Until, existential risk. Okay. All of a sudden, existential risk comes to the fore. All of a sudden, there's this realization at the leading edge, which was denied, right, at the heart of Esalen. It's still not the center of Esalen in any way. But Michael, in the end, got it. But it took a long time. And in my last meeting with Michael said, wow. And we met in Sausalito. And Michael said, now that I get existential risk in a real way, now I get that the old Esalen can't take us home. We actually need a shared story. And he was very clear about it. And he was very direct and very honest and very beautiful. And Michael's a truly great man. And a great man says, wow, we missed that. We were right then. We're not right now. So we need a shared story of value. Right? And in order to do that, we need to work out this radical working out. So now I want to go to your need is my allurement. Eli wraps your need is my allurement. Taylor's going to Dharma recap it. Trish is going to sing it next week. What is your need is my allurement? What does that mean? So what have we been talking about for the last 4 weeks? Is it 4 or 5 weeks we've been talking about need? Okay, is that 4 or 5 weeks we've been talking about need? Something like that? Okay, so here we go, 1. So we've established that need is not a coincidence of cosmos. Need is the very essence of cosmos, right? The very purpose of reality. The very purpose of reality, at its very core, the very purpose of reality at its very core is to what? What is it, my friends? It's to actually engage and address need. That's why reality exists. How we engage need is the purpose of reality. In other words, we looked at a text 3 or 4 weeks ago, which we said, reality is created for the sake of need. Does everyone get that? Who's got that? Reality is created. Maybe grab that in the chat box for me, somebody. Reality is created for the sake of need. So it's not that I get my needs met and live the good life. Reality is created for the very sake of need. 1. 2. We are humiliated in getting our basic needs met. Does everyone get that? We're humiliated in getting our basic needs met. That's one of the sources of shame. Okay, there's a shame of powerlessness. And we're humiliated in getting our basic needs met. Okay, so when I'm a child, right, we're humiliated in getting our basic needs met. So I need to be fully attuned and received by reality and feel welcome in reality. That's a fundamental need. I'm shamed at the outset, not because the world's tragic, but because actually the experience of shame and transcending it is part of the journey of becoming a full human and a full God, right? A baby faces divine, as Dante said. I'm humiliated in getting my basic needs met, which causes shame. Now, when I'm humiliated in getting my basic needs met, it may mean my mother put me down too fast. My mother didn't hold me close, right? My father wasn't listening. When I screamed my aliveness, right, I was shut down. So I had this experience of being fundamentally devastated, right? If I live, I die, right? If I'm in my aliveness, right, which is, right, I need to be received. I need the attention of Cosmos. I need to be honored in my dignity, right? I'm shut down. If I live, I die. Right? I can't get my basic need for attention, my need for nourishment, my need for warmth, my need for welcome. I'm humiliated in getting my basic needs met. Now, that understanding, right, is, I would say, 75 years of very serious work done in attachment theory for, from Bowlby to Mary Ainsworth to Kohut, right, to Winnicott to Harry Stack Sullivan, right, etc. Okay, so that's right. So I'm humiliated in getting my basic needs met. Now, that means that I'm not held. I'm not kissed. I'm not stroked. I'm not embraced, right? Because part of being welcome in Cosmos is that my words are heard, my depth is received, and I feel this embodied sense in my situated awareness of being embraced by reality. So I'm humiliated in getting my basic needs met. But again, not because that's an accident of Cosmos, but because the journey of life is to actually engage need, right? To actually get my needs met and learn how to meet the needs of the beloved. Now, the healing of the humiliation of getting my needs met, the flip opposite, the healing, the making whole is tender now, tender friends, tender is your need as my allurement. Is that true? Does everyone get that? God, is that true? Does everyone get that? And I'm sometimes so sorry to kind of work hard to wake everyone up in the beginning, and to locate our context, because really I just want to talk tender things to you. I just want to talk tender things to you. This is so tender. Right? I'm humiliated in getting my basic needs met. The response to that is, your need is my allurement. So your need is my allurement means that I actually have the experience that the mother, she wants to hold me. She doesn't want to put me down. She's not going to put me down too soon. She can discern when I want to nurse and when I don't in some profound way. She knows when I need to be heard and when I can be left alone. So the healing of the humiliation of getting your basic needs met is the dignity of needs, which itself is the dignity of your need is my allurement. Does everyone get that so far? So far, so good. Okay. So now, where do we experience the dignity of your need is my allurement? So we experience it in sexing. Does everyone get this? In sexing, and by sexing, it might be kissing a shoulder. It might be baring a breast, right? It might be kissing on the forehead. It might be kissing eyelids, right? Sexing has a very broad range. As I'm working with Dr. Kincaid on the phenomenology of Eros, we have an essay on the nature of sex. Right? So we've exiled sex to a very particular kind of sexing, right? But actually sexing is much broader, right? So sexing means a much wider range. But in sexing, in the sexual erotic, we heal the wound of humiliation in getting our basic needs met through the lover saying to the beloved, your need is my allurement. Now stay close. One of the core principles of the new story of value is the sexual models the erotic. And the erotic is Eros. It's the field of Eros love. It's the field of love desire. It's the field of love desire creativity. It's the field of love beauty, love intelligence that applies in every domain of life. So the sexual is one disclosure of Eros. And Eros is, in the interior science equation of cosmo-erotic humanism, Eros is the experience of radical aliveness, okay? So the Eros equation of cosmo-erotic humanism is Eros equals the experience of radical aliveness, desiring ever deeper contact and ever greater wholeness. And that covers actually what the Greeks called both philia, eros, agape, all 7 kinds of love described in the Greek pantheon. But it's actually all Eros. It's all Eros. That's a false Greek Christian split that gets kind of confused, right? So it's all Eros. It's all this desire for deeper contact and for greater wholeness, which creates ever greater value. That's the Eros equation of cosmo-erotic humanism. You know, take a look at it in the, I don't know, got it here someplace. Take a look at it in the First Principles, First Values book, right? The Eros equation, right? Or take a look at it in the book Return to Eros, where we talk about Eros kind of in much more depth. Now, let's go slow. So the sexual models the erotic. It's not just about the sexual, it's all about sex, it's not about sex at all. But the sexual models the erotic, and the sexual means, right, the experience of the utter dignity of needs. Now that can happen between a lover and a beloved, okay? That can happen between a lover and a beloved. That can happen between 2 friends in a warm embrace, right, which is not non-sexual. It can happen when one is self-loving and self-pleasuring. But the experience that I'm allured to my need and I'm allured to your need, and you're allured to my need. So the lover says to the beloved, your need is my allurement. And the lover needs to feel from the beloved, my need is your allurement. So in the licking, in the embracing, in the nibbling, in the kissing, in the stroking, notice it's the same act as the early caretaker, the mother with the child. In all of those ways that embracing, that very physical, tumescent, awake, right, you know, kind of messy, alive, embraced, entwined, right, experience of being welcomed and held by reality, in the very precise way that we need to be held by the mother, whether that's a mother or a father, held by the care of reality embodied in mother. We're humiliated in getting those basic needs met, not because we don't have great mothers. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, but because the nature of 2 selves is that there's always going to be a lack of attunement. There's always going to be a dimension of my needs, even with what Winnicott called good enough parenting. There's always going to be a dimension of my needs that are not met. Does that make sense, everyone? Now stay close. But then when I step into the experience of sexing, and I actually experience my beloved feeling in the depth of their embodiment, your need is my allurement. And I actually feel my lover hearing my whisper, let my need be your allurement. And we exchange that vow to each other, the vow of your need is my allurement, then my needs are dignified. Now that can't happen unless I understand that I'm in a field of Eros. That field of Eros is a field of Eros value. Eros is not the coincidence of a meaningless cosmos. Eros is the quality of value that suffuses reality. It's what Solomon meant when he said its insides are lined with love. So shame is only when touching stops short of infinity. When touching stops short of infinity, when love desires stop short of infinity, we have shame. Shame is when desire stops short of infinity. Shame is when the sexing stops short of infinity. It's when sexing becomes a coincidence of cosmos instead of a value in the field of value. That's why people are having, in every statistic around the world today, less sex, because there's 14 reasons given in the literature, but none of them hold it. People are having less sex because sex has been forgotten as a value. We've forgotten that sexing is a value of cosmos. So shame interrupts the capacity to have the experience of your need is my allurement. So we've got to heal shame. Shame comes from the humiliation of getting my basic needs met. So how do I heal shame? I heal shame by embracing each other. But I've got to embrace in a context of radical commitment. So it's not about a free love commune. Right? In general, I've shared, with people kind of in the inner circle, right? And it's casual sex. Not true. No such thing as casual sex. Just not true. There is no casual sex in the world. Doesn't. Right? Sexing is such a profound act. You shouldn't engage someone sexually that you're not going to be connected to forever. That we engage sexually at a deep level, then we're not connected forever. Right? Actually is traumatizing and wounding in a fundamental way at the very core of our being. Sexing is cosmos disclosing its infinite love and desire for thee, for we, for me in a particular moment in time, and that can never be walked away from. That creates a forever moment. So your need is my allurement heals the humiliation of getting my basic needs met. Does that make sense? Like, it's like, it's deep. It's deep. Now, how far out can I go? So your need is my allurement. One is a statement I have to say to myself. I have to say that to myself. And I would say everyone should engage their own physicality in some sense which they feel the joy of their embodiment. Right? And not by gorging, right? Not by, right, purging, right? But by actually embracing and living the full embodied beauty of my sexuality, of my physicality, right? Of my skin. And we've lost the art of self-pleasuring because we don't believe we deserve pleasure. We don't know how to self-pleasure, so we have this set of words for it that are all shaming. Right? We could do a little show in the chat box now just for fun. Give me a word for self-pleasuring. Anybody? Give me a word. Come on. Give me a word. Yeah, come on. Give me a word for self-pleasuring. Come on. Give me one of the words that doesn't work. That's one. There's one. Thank you, Joni. 2, 3. Right? Yeah, give me some of the weirder words. Lots of weird words. Right? Lots of weird words. Right? Right. There's another one. There. 2, 3, 4. Give me another one. Come on. Give me another couple. Let's go. Come on. Yeah, that's right. Another one, 2. Another 3 more. Come on. Give me 3 more. Right? 3 more, right? There's another one. There we go. Right? Okay. We got it. We got the point. Now, those are not very beautiful words. Does everyone get that? Those are not beautiful words. That is shame. Those are laced with shame. Those are materialist, limited, contracted words. Right? Does everyone get that? Stay close. Right? So self-pleasuring is self-love, where I feel allured to address the needs of feeling the pleasure of cosmos moving through me. Pleasure is the interior quality of Eros. So when the pleasure of cosmos moves through me, and I hold that with grace and joy, right? And I realize that my body is wired for love. My insides are aligned with love. And I can actually find that pleasure that lives in my body, and I can feel the personal address of the unique structure of genetics, my unique genome, my unique molecular structure that experiences pleasure in a particular taste, in a particular quality, in a particular way, uniquely every time I feel the utter address of cosmos. So I say to myself, your need is my allurement. And then to a friend. And to a friend, let me now move out of the sexual just when we see each other, we can hug each other. We're not allowed to hug each other anymore. Hugging has become, right, possible abuse. We're so worried about abusing each other, we can't hug each other. But actually, we need to embrace each other, right? We need a physical culture of embrace. We need to hold each other. We need to touch each other. We need to feel each other, right?
I hope you're enjoying this episode with Dr. Marc Gafni. I just wanted to say that if you would like to attend these podcasts live, they are happening live every Sunday on Zoom, and you can be there to experience this in person. The best way to join is with the link in the description, which will take you to a free section of our online educational community. And you can get into this free section where you will have a calendar where you'll see that every Sunday there are live events with Dr. Marc Gafni, that all you'll need to do is click join event and you will be in to get to watch these episodes live. So please join us live. It's completely free and we'd love to see you there. Enjoy the rest of this episode with Dr. Marc Gafni.
I want to give you guys an example. It's a beautiful story. I just happened to be at a particular place in a particular time. I won't say where. And I was performing a wedding, right? And, someone had wanted me to make contact with a particular well-known figure in American society. And we tried to find each other, and I was kind of really in wedding mode, but we couldn't quite find each other. And I would say that he was a beautiful man, was, I think, somewhat traumatized, although, well-known, right? And quite public, but kind of in that, there was the sense that we needed to make contact. We couldn't quite do it. It's now like 7 o'clock in the evening. We're sitting at this kind of head table, and the waiter is on my side of the table saying, "Oh, giving the menu," and he actually gets up, walks to the other side of the table, and he's very about kind of healthy eating, and so he says, "Hey, I want like this big thing of meatballs," and then he puts his hand on my shoulder, and kind of squeezes my shoulder, and he says, something like, "Well, that was really good, Rabbi," but. He was talking about the wedding, but it was really just his hand on my shoulder. And you just felt this flood of warmth and goodness and delight, which words couldn't hold. Physical. Can you feel that? The physicality of the touch, right? In other words, we've exiled touch to abusive sexuality. Now we need to liberate touch. Touch is the desire of Cosmos, is the desire to touch in ways that are obviously appropriate. Right, and complete obvious. That's a given. I don't think I need to say that. We need to hug each other. We need to embrace each other. We need to engage each other, and to feel ourselves being held by each other. Okay, that's 2. 3. When we engage sensually, we need to engage in the most personal, intimate way, in a way that actually we've literally forgotten how to make love. Right? I don't know if men ever had a clue, but some did. Women, complicated. We've forgotten how to make love. We've just forgotten. We've forgotten. How do we touch each other? How do we approach? How do we engage? How do we dance? Right? But the essence of holding each other, the essence of sensual engagement in every way, right, is, right, to actually whisper to the beloved, "Your need is my allurement," in which the beloved feels infinitely respected, infinitely honored, infinitely held. And really the work that KK is doing in moving from homo armor to homo amor means I can unguard my heart, and I can unguard my body, and I can actually be safe and be welcome. And if I'm not welcome in the cosmos in an embodied sense, I actually lose my ability to know anything. We know through our bodies. Through my body, I vision God. We know ontologically. That means that the mysteries are within us. The mysteries course through us. That we can go to the inward space of our, what Merleau-Ponty called our situated awareness, our embodied knowing. And our bodies disclose gnosis, which is why carnal knowledge means to know. I know you. I know you because our bodies found each other. Right? It's like, So we need to literally to learn, what does it actually mean to make love? What does that actually mean? What is the tantric act? But tantra is a bad word because it's got hijacked. It's gotten, lost. What is the act when we can actually look at each other deeply in the eyes and say, your need is my allurement? And in that we heal the shame that comes from the humiliation at getting our basic needs met. Like, wow, right? That's your need is my allurement. It's profound. It's profound. All of reality is created for one reason. For every human being to look at every other human being and say, your need is my allurement. Not in the realm of the sexual, where this is not about free love, right? Everything I said could apply if you were living in a classical religious, right, Western or Eastern monogamous context. It could apply if you're single. It could apply if you're in a more post-conventional vision of the world, right? A more post-conventional context. This is not arguing for a particular style of loving. It has nothing to do with this conversation. But what it does mean is that we learn to embrace each other. We learn to hold each other. And that beloveds, in their contexts of mutuality and sacred context, right, actually learn how to make love. Right? I would say that, I'm going to say something it's so deep. If you make love once for real in the world's never the same. Right? And to make love means you actually have a direct experience that you are Cosmo erotic humanism in person. You literally feel the cosmo-erotic universe living in you. We used to say a decade ago as we were starting the Outrageous Love Project, right? KK, you remember? Shati, I think you might have started this phrase, or KK, did we start it? Right? But it was GGIF, God got us as fuck. GGIF, God got us as fuck. But by fuck, we don't mean a reduced, a degraded, right, a deconstructing fuck. We mean the fuck of cosmos, right? The eros shimmering, right, aliveness of cosmos, where actually reality loves you open, fucks you open in every moment. You fuck reality open in every moment. You respond to the need of reality. Reality is responding to you. You're in this dance on the inside of the inside. Right? So the purpose of reality is created, right? The purpose of reality is need. Need is not something to get handled. We create reality for the sake of need. The dignity of need discloses my value, right? That my need is dignified means I'm intrinsically valued by cosmos. I'm intrinsically welcome in cosmos. Need is a metaphysical proposition of cosmos. Need is the great value statement of cosmos. Need's not an accident, right? In a cosmos that's a tale told by an idiot full of sounds and fury signifying nothing, need is the fundamental structure of reality at its very, 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 very core, okay? So does everyone get it? So here's the sentence. We got the sentence? So we're all humiliated in getting our basic needs met. That's we become homo armor. We need then to unguard our body. We need to unguard our heart. We need to move from humiliation and getting our basic needs met, right, to your need is my allurement. To do that, we need to explode shame. Shame is when love desire stops short of infinity. We need to understand that actually, right, the eros that flows through cosmos, that addresses the need, right, is, right, actually the face of the divine. Your need, right? So if someone just once in my life, I have an actual experience that my beloved, incarnating reality, says to me, your need is my allurement, I know what it means to live in the dignity of my own divinity, right? And then when I begin to say to reality, I say to reality, your need is my allurement, then I become the cosmorotic human universe in person. I become cosmorotic humanism. That's enlightenment. Enlightenment is not just becoming aware of awareness. Enlightenment is becoming the allurement of reality moving through me and my capacity to respond to reality's need with my own allurement. Okay. Wow. Cha.
Thank you, Dr. Marc Gafni. Amazing. Wow. So everyone who's ready to jump over, get on the other call right now because we're starting there right now with the Wounded Hero class. As Marc said, beautiful, generous gift. If you can't afford it, let me know in the chat box or send me an email. I put my email in the chat box as well, so I can help you move over to the other Zoom and join today. If you can join, please sign up for a membership of our awesome community, Who We Must Become, where you get access to these live courses, 10 self-study courses, an amazing community, book clubs, everything is happening there, daily prayer. It's a beautiful way to study and practice together and build beautiful, meaningful relationships with each other. And finally, today we spoke about need, and your need is my allurement, and how that expresses itself through every form of sexing. And this summer, this spring actually, in April, we're going to be studying at Eros Mystery School the 7 tastes of sexing. So do you want to dive deeper into this? Definitely come there. Beautiful castle in Europe. We're going to be talking a lot more about that in the coming weeks. I'm going to keep it short right now because we want to jump over and start on the other calls. I just want to thank everyone for being here. Thank you so much. And we'll see each other again next week.